Good evening, everybody. I'm really, really honored to be in front of you today. And thank you, Steve, and thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity. This amazing evening, it runs somehow counter some of my previous experience that I had in Portsmouth a few years ago when I was campaigning for a party. I'm ashamed to say what one, but we were preparing in our campaign, a meeting with some constituency members in one of the schools nearby. And by the end of when we need to start it, it was only one person that turned up. And then seeing that with my colleagues, I said, look, perhaps you would excuse us and we can, meet up another time. But behind his really thick glasses, I will always remembers, he said, no, please, I would like you to go on because I'm the next speaker. So I'm very happy that, I'm really very happy that tonight is quite different. I would like to ask before I start, how many of you have been to Romania actually? So few of you, so I'm very happy therefore I can say whatever I want without being questioned too much. Anyway, I would like to say that the history between Romania and Britain is extremely rich and extremely, it goes back many, many years. Actually, about 2,000 years ago, the Romans coming here. Their legionnaires were mostly Sarmatian, knights. They were from where Romania is today. And as a legacy, we have built the Hadrian Wall. And also the Morris dance, which is a Romanian dance called Călușarul, if you didn't know. But this is what others are saying. I wouldn't know if this is true. And I apologize if we've offended anyone with this dance. But Britain was fantastic to spread both culture and scientific discovery around the world and around the history after the 15th century when it was the century of geographical discovery. Then we had Isaac Newton with his Principia Mathematica teaching us, looking at science through a different perspective, not only a religious one. And then we have, of course, the Industrial Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution came with plenty of knowledge in terms of economics, in terms of industry. I've recently met in Iași, my hometown in northeast Romania, with a company. They were in textile industry, and they still have in their museum British manufacturing, machinery, which is from the turn of the 19th century, actually. So they were very proud to have it. Then communists came upon us. And it was a dark period in Romanian history. And the only light within this period came when Ceausescu didn't want to back the Russians into their invasion in Czechoslovakia in the 60s. And then he managed to get knighted by Her Majesty the Queen. And as a result, a lot of companies such as big corporates such as Rolls-Royce or other BAE Systems, for instance, went into Romania, and we've started an important cooperation program in aviation, in various other defense industries, and not only. And then things went to the worst again, till a date when that changed our lives completely, and it was December 1989, when, as you remember, most of you, communists fell, and our communist regime fell. To me, that day has particular memories because at that time I used to work for the Polytechnical Institute in my hometown, and I was working as a computer assistant for the Felix. Felix was a huge computer as big as this room with a storage device as big as one of these tables. And I was sent to Bucharest, where revolution started. I was sent to Bucharest to pick up some PCBs, interestingly enough. At that night, the regime fell. I still feel the power of the tanks coming towards the people in there, the despair, but what was to become something extremely important, which was freedom. and change, and it was so difficult to change from a system to another. The only thing we knew about capitalism was from the cowboy movies that Ceausescu favored amongst everything else, because I can name all the cowboy movies ever made, and also John Wayne and everyone else. That was our own experience about life. Actually, some say that communism was not brought up by, context, but by Coca-Cola, because I remember us walking on the street with a can of Coca-Cola, and you would pull all the beautiful babes in the world if you had a package of canned cigarettes in your, chest pocket, and so on. So this opened up a new chapter in the relation between Britain and Romania, a chapter which was now full of interest, full of potential. Big corporations, Rolls-Royce, BAE Systems, and others came and continued the traditional work. Romania has become an important center, buying from Britain and investing a lot of money. And also we have infrastructure. A lot of British companies have designed motorways in Romania, such as Mott MacDonald, for instance, which is a Hampshire-based company. But also Britain led the way, especially Hampshire, led the way in the way they actually taught the Romanian people, the Romanian institutions, how to open up to the world. I remember at the early 90s, I was working with Hampshire County Council. I used to be the country manager for Rank Xerox in the Republic of Moldova, which is at the east of Romania, and still part of Romania, but gone independent somehow. And at that time, Hampshire came, and we've started to work together towards democratization of institutions, devolution of power from the central government to regions. So we have opened up the doors for companies, for people to believe in the potential of being free and making something with their freedom. There is only one problem. Freedom comes with responsibility. It's so difficult to be free. It's so difficult to build a democracy. Our politicians were no politicians. They were either engineers, either doctors. They went into the parliament. Did they know about politics? Did they know about legislation? It was very difficult to form a government, to form a constitution, to align with countries such as yourselves. But Britain was fantastic to teach us and to help us quite a lot. And I think because of that, the Romanian people, amongst other qualities, they have a specific one, which is that they look up at you. And they really appreciate everything which is British, not only your products, but your culture. Although we are considered to be a Francophone country, we are actually not. I think we are more Anglophiles than anything else. And this is good, because this creates the bridge between our countries. Now, Romania, being situated in Central Europe, Romania during communism, Ceausescu wanted us to develop completely and to have everything. This was good to a point, in the sense that we have all the skills necessary for a country to be a great country. In manufacturing, for instance, in aviation, there are only 3 centers of excellence in Central Europe. One is Poland, one is Czech Republic, another one is Romania. There are other industries as well as aviation that excel, and we have kept a lot of this intelligence in Romania. However, lately, a lot of the brains are hemorrhaging out of Romania, and we do have a responsibility to create conditions at home, conditions through which they could stay and they could get employed, and they can actually work for companies such as yourself. Now, I have a privilege of looking at these issues from a dual perspective. On the one hand, I'm a Romanian citizen, born in Romania. On the other hand, I'm a British subject. Therefore, I'm trying to, when I'm looking at things, I realize how lucky you are to have been born in this country, and how easy sometimes it's for you compared with conditions in other parts. On the other hand, I look at Romania and I realize the potential which is there and how much more they can do if they would learn, if they would open up to what you have to teach us. So I think, without boring you to death about statistics which you can find anywhere, about GDP, about opportunities, what I would like to say, referring to what Steve said earlier, that it took him almost a year to be in this position. Yes, Steve, it took a year for you to make your mind up, but it took you only one day to become a Romanian business. And I'm very proud for that, because at the end of the day, what creates this bridge is the culture, is the similarities that we have, is the fact, is the people. And I think where Romania could become a potential ally and a potential place for a successful business is its people. And this is the gold that Romania carries, rather than the gold in the mountains and as a resource. Now, talking about businesses, I wouldn't really know. Actually, I'm happy that I was the last to speak, because I had the chance to observe you and to look at you, to try to understand a little bit of your concerns and where the industry is going. I'm not certain at the moment exactly who might be interested, if at all, in Romania. However, I'm telling you here, I'm here to tell you this: we have a system. We have created a system through which we can shortcut all the red tape that could exist in locating a business to Romania. I specifically said located and not relocated, because as a British, I do not want factories here to close and move elsewhere. I want to keep production here. But what we can use Romania for is spare production capacity, is perhaps to consider, Steve is doing, moving some of the production from the Far East, because we are in the European Union. We have no taxation. Our legislation is harmonized to be in line with yours. It takes us very little to fly to, it's only 3 hours flight, a direct flight. There are numerous flights per day to various locations in Romania. And the infrastructure is such that you are at the center of Europe. Actually, Romania is the geographical center of Europe. So it's quite interesting whether or not some of your clients can be served by having a point of production or sales. Why not? But think of the other countries where which Romania can service. What about Bulgaria? What about Macedonia? What about former Yugoslav republics? Even Greece. It's a huge potential in that area, because those areas are developing. And I look at Britain, it looks sometimes that everything is already done. When you deal with legacy systems, it's very difficult to modernize. It's very difficult to change. Where Romania, for instance, they didn't have to deal with these legacy systems. And as an example, internet is the fastest in the world. Only because everything is fiber optics, because they didn't have to bother about other things that were not existing there. So there are opportunities, and we have a system that can help you to reach these opportunities and to grow your businesses. Why either you have to sell or to attract new customers by actually moving closer to them and producing there, because conditions are such that you benefit of skills, you have salaries which are yet extremely, extremely competitive. We are able to negotiate fantastic facilities for your companies in there, such as no local taxation, such as a very low price per square meter if needed. And also our infrastructure is able to support you and to take your hand through each of the steps that are required, as said. I'm very grateful to Steve that he had the willingness to see this through. I personally put a lot of interest in this, because we want a success story. We want to prove that it is possible. So it's very difficult. I can sit here with you for hours and talk about Romania and Britain and about the opportunities, because I'm passionate about it. I live because of it. And even if I came here for more than 20 years, I'm still retaining this knowledge, and this is my job, is to create these opportunities. Now, this system called Bridge is supported, is in partnership with all the chambers in Britain, and is supported by His Majesty's government. Now, if we are successful in Romania, the government wants to take this system and replace the existing trade system, and they will start with the 41 countries which are on the list that Britain has as priorities, Romania being one of them. So again, being part of this system, you could actually reach out to a lot more customers. Moreover, we work with some of your customers. I've seen your presentations, which are impressive, and last one took my attention because of the tank, which is not a surprise, but it says a lot about my engineering skills here. But Britain has actually contributed tremendously to the security of that part of Europe. Romania is the country that has the longest European border. 3,000 kilometers is the longest border of European Union with outside. So Britain is present there. For instance, Romania has bought the 2 frigates, Type 22 frigates. Everything under the bridge of those frigates is Rolls-Royce. It's Portsmouth Aviation. It's HNS Aviation. BAE Systems is very present in there. There are Rolls-Royce is doing engines in there. These are some of your customers, and by doing that, you might have access to them. The automotive industry is very powerful. Now, you will be happy to hear that although we have a Ford factory in Romania, that wasn't the factory that closed in Southampton. That go to Turkey. This is a new factory. They are building a smaller version of Fords in there. So again, there is a way through which one can benefit of Romania. I promised Steve that I will be quite short because I'm sure every one of you is willing to speak amongst yourselves and take your good businesses further and more successful. I really want to say that you need to forget what all you hear in press. Yeah, there are some bad apples amongst us, but aren't we all, prisoners of the same effect? So I can only promise you that there is a wonderful environment for you to be there, and culturally we're not so different. In many ways, I found why England? Why have I chosen England? It wasn't only because I was working with Hampshire County Council, but it was because I felt here like I belong. And Romanians have another quality: they integrate. We are not segregating. We are not forming communities which are separate, trying to force you into our culture. We are trying to become whom you are, and we are proud to retain some of our cultural things that I hope they only bring, and richness to this some symbiosis amongst ourselves. So, without becoming too, too emotional about this potential relation, coming back to facts and figures, there is a lot going on. Romania is thought to be the highest developing country in Europe. By 2017, I have some figures on the table which I left there for good reason. We will have a 7% growth in the GDP, which would be the highest in European Union. And not because we are different, but because there's so much opportunity in there. So if you ever decide to give it a go, or at least if you have questions, we are here for you. It's very easy to, I'm going to get your addresses from Steve, and I will send you some email with some information. So if you ever decide that there is something that you might want to try or to do, we will be happy to answer. So if you don't mind me thanking you again for this opportunity and trying to close this session of speakers, I would very much appreciate it.